topic, which is business models for selling architectural, engineering, construction knowledge over the cloud. I'll start by giving a research background about the construction industry and the concept of business model, and then I'll move to defining my project objectives. I'll define the literature review and methodology that I achieved in order to arrive at the objectives. Then I'll describe the 3 detailed business model and finally summarize and conclude the study. Construction industry is one of the main pillars forming today's economy. It forms around 13% of the global economy with an expectation to increase to 18% within the coming 7 years. We are facing a lot of problems within our industry. It's a very fragmented industry that involves multiple stakeholders, especially in the design nature where it became more complex and multidisciplinary, where it's now required that we manage and coordinate a lot of design stakeholders together. Also, this rendered information management a challenging task within the industry, and in many cases it's inefficient within the companies. Globalization has opened an opportunity for internationalizing. However, in many cases it fails due to high transactional costs and overheads and inadequate information available about the international markets. On the bright side, there are some opportunities that, if used, can improve the industry and generate new business opportunities, such as the increased information within the different market boundaries and the data that's embedded within the modeling and simulation tools that goes beyond just the virtual representation of the building. If this knowledge were managed successfully within the companies and the market boundaries, using business analytics and new information technologies, it can have a huge opportunity for improving the industry. So the AEC companies should reconsider their business models in order to avoid these problems and build on new opportunities. In order for any company to change its business or to start a new business, it goes through 3 main phases. The first is defining the business case, which is the reasoning of why am I doing this. The second step is the business model, which is a generic map of how a company does its business. What are the basic elements that I need and what are the basic map that I'm going to use. And finally, this business model is developed into a business plan where we develop the step-by-step procedure of all the detailed and resources and activities required to achieve the outcome. Astor Walter and Pignier, one of the researchers in the area of the business model, combined all the 9 elements together in a user-friendly canvas. In the middle of their canvas comes the value proposition, which is what is the value or service I'm proposing to the customer. This value uses activities and resources that are used to generate the value or product. If those activities and resources are not available within our company boundaries or in-house, we acquire some partnerships that assist generating activities and acquiring the resources. On the other side of the canvas comes the customer segment, which is who is interested in what I'm proposing or who will be buying my services. In order for the value to be delivered to the customer segments, some customer relationships and channels are required to deliver the final value. On the financial side, the customer segments pay revenues for the services they get, and the company proposing business model pays for the activities, resources, and partnerships. The difference between the revenues and the costs is the profit generated from the business model. This is an example of the business model for Facebook. So as we all know, the main value is a social network platform that is proposed to us, the internet users. On the other side, they are proposing audiences for advertising companies and games. Games and applications developers. The customer segments in this case are the advertising companies and the developers. Their main revenues come from the advertising revenues and the development, and their main activities are related with the network and software development. Their costs comes from paying for the human resources and maintaining their IT infrastructure. Now that you have an idea about the problems and opportunities you are facing and the business models, we can define the objective of my research. The objective was to develop a business model in the Astor Walter and Pignier framework defined in order to sell AEC knowledge services that adds value to the client through selling wisdom and intelligence customized to the customer needs. The models are based on selling the knowledge packages online over the cloud, where we use the cloud computing platforms and cloud servers as the main platform for selling our knowledge. In order to arrive at this objective, we studied 4 areas in the literature review. We started by identifying the concept of knowledge as a commodity. We had to define the difference between the common knowledge and uncommon knowledge. The value comes in the uncommon knowledge, which is not available to everyone. We need to make some more activities and analyze it more in order to discover it. And that's where the real value is. We had to define the different types of knowledge and how to discover it, different sources of knowledge and where they come from, and the modes of transformation when you transform one form of knowledge from one form to another. After defining this, we arrived at the knowledge-based services on how we are going to sell the knowledge to the client. The second area investigated was the concept of business models, where we had to define we have to investigate different definitions of business models in literature till we arrived at the most generic one, which is a map of how a company does its business. We defined different elements in the literature. Also, we have found that the framework of Walter and Pignier identifies all the elements together, so we decided to use this. We investigated a lot of classifications, whether in the construction industry or in other industries, in order to develop the preliminary models and arrive at insights that are used to develop the models that we will propose finally. While investigating these different classifications, we found a relationship between the business models and the concept of e-business. However, at this point, I would signify the difference between selling e-business and selling consulting knowledge that we are doing here. E-business is mainly adding an online twist to the physical activities we are conducting. So it's just migrating the buying and selling activities online instead of having it face-to-face, in addition to transforming paper-based activities into electronic-based. They develop virtual platforms for online interaction, which enhances online procurement and bidding. On the other side, online knowledge selling is just forming a virtual business environment where we can service the client online. We are doing the same technical and management analytics, but instead of doing it in-house or in the office, we are doing it online and selling online knowledge packages to the client, composing of the wisdom and experiences of us as a consulting office. The third area investigated was cloud-based services. We had to define cloud computing, which is a new business model emerging for selling computational power online. There are three types of clouds: infrastructure as a service, which is on-demand computational and storage services to the client, such as Amazon Web Service, that made their hardware available to the client on demand. The second type is software as a service, where the software is available on demand over the cloud for the client, such as Salesforce, which design customer relationship management softwares. They also do analysis on the data acquired by these softwares to develop patterns and trends that they can sell to the client and enhance their consumer products. Platform as a service, which gathers a lot of stakeholders together and coordinate their activities, such as Innocentive, that designed a platform for problem solving. They gather a lot of experts and crowds around the world in order to solve a certain problem. This is an example of how a cloud office looks like. Up there are the business models that I'll be describing later in the presentation. In the middle comes the cloud office with the three types and all the activities involved, till the final delivery of the product to the customer, where they can access it over their computers or mobile devices. The last thing was to identify the who. Who am I going to sell this to? We identified different types of construction clients, what are their motivations, and what are the aim of running their business. And then we had to define what different client business lines are working and what experiences we expect from the client. And finally, develop the client attributes and characteristics that might be important when I'm selling them these business models. After conducting the literature review, we went to conduct some open surveys with experts in the construction industry to arrive at the preliminary business models. Once those preliminary business models were developed, we moved into a structured survey done on SurveyMonkey online tool in order to determine three key points. First, the most suitable client profiles that I'm proposing these business models to, the most important client attributes when offering each of the business models, and finally, the most suitable payment method that I'll have for each business model. This is a sample of how the survey looks like on the SurveyMonkey. Three main questions identifying the importance of the three identified factors. This is a sample of how the results look like. We got around 17 respondents. We crunched all the data to arrive at averages for each question, which were later used to identify the final business models. The final step was to have another phase of validation, where we went with the final models into another validation interviews with industry experts to do the fine retunement and make sure that they are applicable to the real industry. The first model we are proposing is business management and intelligence. The need for this model arose due to the sophistication of the business environment and the increased market data that's available, even external or internal. Also, the opportunity for internationalizing opened a new opportunity for international markets for a lot of companies. However, they need to get adequate information that gives them decision-making tools whether to go or not to go. The main offerings we are proposing here is project configuration advice, where we can advise on scope of work, project configuration, whether to go or not to go, give expert decision to the client. And if they go for the project, we can do track and analyzing, where we offer procurement services in addition to project analytics for their current projects. A good example for this would be an owner who wants to construct a residential building outside of their business scope or in an international area. So during the pre-construction, we advise them whether to go or not to go and what are the best decisions they can make. Whether the procurement, we give them advice about the contractors, suppliers available that they can use in their project, and whether they can get any useful partnerships. And during constructions, we monitor their project and give them recommendation and recovery plans when required. This is the first business model in the canvas. So the real value we're proposing here is improved reliability to the customer. We're providing access to data that the client wasn't aware of before that they can use to improve their external and internal operations. We're providing them with decision-making tools that can give them wisdom and experience whether to generate more business opportunities. More importantly, on the other side of the supply chain, we are proposing reputation management for contractors and suppliers, where we can be their marketeers and recommend them to the clients upon their qualifications for different projects. The model was proposed to 3 customer segments: contractors and suppliers, municipalities, and clients with or without traditional engineering department. The main activities we're doing here are all related to data. So we collect this data, we analyze it, and then we tailor it according to the customer requirements. We also have to make sure that we do the research and development required to maintain the business model, in addition to market ourselves to sell it to the client. The main resources here are the know-how of the customer, of the in-house capabilities, human resources for the office, in addition to the business networks and market analysts, which will help in gathering the information dissipated in the crowd, whether internally within the company or outside. This could be also enhanced through partnerships with analytics company, socially or financially, partnering with software developers and procurement specialists that could give advice on procurement, in addition to partnering with universities and research institutes that could keep us up to date for the latest updates in the market and latest market data. We will depend on 2 main customer relationship schemes, even a case-by-case service where we will have a tailored contract according to the exact case we are facing, or we will form a long-term contract with the client for offering continuous services. We will have also to depend on more customer relationships to offer the client on-demand services and online platforms where they can get in and tailor their services and requirements. The main channels used, as previously mentioned, is cloud-based portals, but we will also combine them with traditional AEC firms such as face-to-face interaction and some means of e-business and Web 2.0. The main costs are the activities cost, resources, and the partnerships cost, in addition to the logistics for running the office. We propose 3 main revenue streams to get the money out of this model, such as the subscription fees, where the client will pay continuously for the services they get per a unit time. Pay per task, where they have to pay a certain amount for the scope of work they get, and usage fees, where the fees are scaled up and down according to the customer requirements. After conducting the survey, we returned that the contractors and suppliers are the most important and suitable client for this business model. They will be a good client for reputation management in order to sell their services. They deal with huge amount of money, so they are always seeking opportunities to improve their operations, in addition to generating business opportunities and extending into new international markets. The most suitable revenue stream turned out to be subscription fees, where a certain amount of money will be paid continuously on per monthly or weekly. We will be developing market reports in this business model, so it makes sense that the client would pay continuously for the services they get. Also, for the reputation management service, the contractors and suppliers need to be registered in our system, and then they will have to pay subscription fees continuously. The second business model is design optimization and innovation. The need for the model arose because of the design complexity, in addition to the opportunity that's within the modeling and simulation tools. The customer requirements has recently increased where they require more services regarding LEED certification or energy efficient buildings. What we will be offering is BIM as a service. We're offering BIM design services in addition of coordination of the whole process. We will also offer design optimization and certification based on the knowledge within the modeling and simulation tools and certifying the design to new codes such as LEED or energy efficient designs. A typical example is a traditional design office giving me a 2D design. I'll turn this into a BIM-based design, exploit all the added values within the BIM, and then I'll cross-reference it with the LEED design code to make sure that the LEED could be certified according to the design certification. The main value proposed here is cost savings to the customer through applying new advanced design systems. We do knowledge-based optimization according to the BIM models we provide. We add added services through BIM such as conflict resolution and design coordination. We propose the model to 3 business segments, which are traditional design office, client with and without traditional engineering department, and a public client. The main activities are basically the design and technical activities that we do in office. However, in this case, we'll be doing it over the cloud. Also, it's a two-way relationship, so we have to manage the customer relationship and make sure that we are providing customized services to them. We will have to make sure that all the stakeholders in the model are on the same page technology-wise and interoperability-wise. We have to coordinate all the files together, coordinate everything together to make sure that everyone is having access to the same data. The key resources are similar to the first model. However, in this case, we will have to invest more in BIM tools. This could happen by partnering with software vendors that can keep us up to date with the latest BIM software tools available in the market. We have to partner with some design offices such as LEED certifying design offices if these in-house capabilities are not available. Also, code agencies partnerships will be useful to provide us with the latest best standards and codes available in the market. The customer relationships and channels will not change from the business model. Similarly, the cost structure will not change. However, in this case, we have to invest more in liability insurance. Since we are taking responsibility of the design, we have to insure ourselves against any crisis that could happen for the design or failure. We proposed that 3 revenue streams as the first model. However, in this case, the paper tasks turned out to be the most suitable. In here, we're proposing a design scope. We're proposing a design services for a certain project scope or for a certain activities. The traditional design office turned out to be the most suitable business customer segment. They are requiring added value services, so they do the basic design. However, they want to market themselves better in the market and generate new business opportunities through knowing more tools or having more tools such as the BIM which we are offering in this model. The last model is software customization and real-time analytics. The need for the model arose because of the willing of the client to have customized software systems that could enhance their internal or external operations, in addition to the increased data that's available within these software systems. Also, the emergence of software as a service as a business model had a huge opportunity for the client to have a lot of services, software systems without worrying about the infrastructure. What we are offering here is software customization tools. In addition to monitoring and control of the supply chains of the client using smart systems, we also analyze the data that we collect through the real-time monitoring and control to provide the client with patterns and trends about their business processes. A typical example would be an industrial client who wants to optimize their supply chain. We will design software that can monitor the supply chain, and then we will add some smart systems that can monitor and control everything in the supply chain. We analyze the data that's acquired from this and then provide them with information how to optimize it, how to improve the performance, and if there is any inefficiency, where is it and how can they fix it. The most value proposed here is again cost savings through enhancing the performance of internal or external supply chains. We provide the convenience to the clients through providing customized software for their exact business needs, in addition to coordinating this software with all the multiple stakeholders. The main customer segments are the private clients, municipalities, and industrial facility clients that will be interested in supply chain optimization. The activities are mainly related to the software development, training, and maintenance of these software systems. Again, it's a two-way relationship to customer relationship is important in order to make sure that we are implementing the customer's requirements into our model. The resources are similar, however, more investment here is needed in the IT infrastructure to support the model, in addition to cloud servers where we will be proposing the business model to the client. We can have partnerships with software developers and cloud service providers to support our proposal. We will need to partnership with specialized consultants that can assist doing our analytics and optimization. Also manufacturers of smart systems that will be helpful when doing the monitoring and control activities. The relationships and channels are similar all over. The cost structure here needs, more money needs to be invested in the IT infrastructure, which will support the whole model. The revenue streams we proposed are same, but in this case, we turned that the pay-per-task and usage fees are most suitable. Pay-per-task turned out to be suitable for the software customization service by itself, where they will pay for the software they get. However, for usage fees, it's the main advantage of the software as a service business model, where the cost can be scaled up or down according to the customer need. Also, if we are conducting monitoring and control services, this will be paid per unit price. The most suitable client turned out to be private client. They do a lot of monitoring for their internal and external activities within the company boundaries or for their projects, so they will be a good client for developing customized software and doing the monitoring and control activities. Finally, I'll summarize and conclude the main points gained from the study. The three proposed business models turned out to be more than 60% suitable to all the proposed customer segments. However, a client that has no engineering department is the least likely to acquire the proposed business models. This is due to that the client that has no engineering department is requiring the basic engineering services before going to high value ideas. However, in order to avoid this problem, we can serve them with basic engineering activities as a consulting office and then sell the added value to them. Knowledge and experience is the key client attribute for the success of all the models. In this case, you need to deal with a knowledgeable client where they know what they are doing, so you can gain their insights before developing the service. Also, when you sell them the knowledge back, you need a knowledgeable client that can use it. Otherwise, it will be useless. The size of the client is not important in all the business model. However, in many cases, the size of the project is very relevant, especially in the services that deals with software design or with project analytics. Reputation is important for business models 1 and 2. It was the most important attribute for those models. In these models, we deal with multiple stakeholders from outside the industry. It's not within the client and it's not within our expertise. So these different stakeholders needs to deal with a reputable client who knows what they are doing. Otherwise, they will not be willing to support the business model, and this will not guarantee the success. Involvement was very important in cases of business model 2 and 3, where it's a two-way relationship between the client and the proposing business model, because we involve in design tailoring and software tailoring, so we need them to be involved in different phases of the project. Finally, the technological structure is important for business model 3, where again we provide software services and cloud servers, so we need to make sure that the client is on the same page and can use the tools we are providing with the business model. In order to implement the business models, we discovered there are three main success factors for the proposing office to have. First, they have to do an internal organizational change by leveraging the knowledge within all their company employees. The employees have to get the willing to share in the business model, to share their knowledge, to share in the process itself in order to leverage the knowledge across the boundaries of the company. More human resources investment is required in all cases because we need to hire software developers, BIM analysts, market analysts. So we need to open our mind to getting new people with different expertise. And the technological structure, again, is very important to support the proposed services over whether it's a software or hardware, cloud computing platforms, or the infrastructure. Finally, for future research, we recommend the technological structure to be investigated more, where we can know the exact software and hardware systems required to support the business models and what are the exact resources we need technological-wise. Also, as previously mentioned, that's only the middle part of the business process change. The last part would be to develop a detailed business plan for each business model, which relates all the resources and activities required and step-by-step standard for what we are going to propose. Thank you, and I'm open for any questions.